As the sun began to set on June 7, 2011, the living room of the 25th floor apartment at the University Club Tower in Tulsa, Oklahoma was filled with darkness following a heated argument. Joshua was pushed towards the window, trying to catch himself, but the glass shattered and he fell. Those below watched in shock as Joshua's body fell from the upper floor, landing with a terrible thud in the 8th floor parking garage. Joshua Hilberling was born on May 30th, 1988 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is the son of Gene and Patrick Hilberling and has 5 siblings: Zach, Scott, David, Carrie, and Nikki Ross. Growing up in a large family, Joshua's childhood was very exciting and fun with games created by his siblings. He is especially close to Zach, who is only 13 months his junior, and they have a strong bond. Patrick, an Air Force veteran, instilled in his children the values of integrity and commitment. Joshua attended Victory Christian High School, where he excelled in sports, especially football. He is known for his friendly and charming personality and enjoys playing video games and spending time with his family. In 2007, after completing his studies, Joshua followed in his father's footsteps and joined the United States Air Force. In early 2010, he met Amber, who he believed was the love of his life. Amber returned his feelings and their relationship blossomed quickly. Amber was born on October 1st, 1991 in Joplin, Missouri. Her family moved to Tulsa 3 months after her birth, where they later welcomed 2 more children, Adam and Ariel. Amber, with beautiful long blonde hair, attends Skelly Primary School. She is not only beautiful but also intelligent and dedicated, always ranking among the top students throughout her school years. She participated in many extracurricular activities, excelled in athletics and dance, and was a member of a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting and supporting agricultural education. After her parents divorced, Amber's mother, Rem, married a famous local surgeon who embraced Amber as his own daughter. Amber is a devout and avid reader of books and movies. She often quotes movies that fascinate those around her. Amber was also very interested in history and wrote many eloquent poems. She has a passion for makeup, fashion, and shoes. When Joshua and Amber met, she was 18 years old and living with her mother and stepfather. Their relationship progressed quickly, and when 22-year-old Joshua learned that he would be stationed in Alaska, they decided to get married so she could go with him. They married in the summer of 2010 in a beautiful ceremony with one of Joshua's brothers as best man. Soon after, the newlyweds moved to Fairbanks, Alaska. Despite their initial excitement, they soon face unforeseen challenges. Youth, inexperience, and isolation in the new home led to frequent quarrels. Amber later recalled that her husband developed a habit of breaking his cell phone so that she could not contact her when he was not at home. Although there are versions that claim she had a hot temper, the truth may lie somewhere in between. Despite their tumultuous relationship, they loved each other and soon discovered that they were expecting their first child. However, on January 2, 2011, base officials received a report from Amber alleging that her husband had assaulted her. Amber and Joshua got into an argument after Amber wanted to order takeout, but Joshua refused. When insulted, Joshua threw a drink on Amber's plate and grabbed her right breast, bruising and bursting a blood vessel. These details were recorded in military reports and photographs of the injuries. Joshua was arrested, but Amber decided not to press charges. 5 months later, Joshua was discharged from the military due to drug use, leading to him and Amber moving back to Tulsa. Even though their relationship had problems, they were both excited about the birth of their baby. They temporarily lived with Amber's mother while they prepared for the birth and searched for a permanent home. But this arrangement didn't last long. Joshua's problems affected Amber's family, and they accused him of substance abuse, demanding he leave. Although Amber was welcome to stay, she decided to stay with Joshua out of concern for the health of her daughter and grandchild. Amber's mother generously allowed the couple to live in an apartment on the 25th floor of the University Club Tower, where Amber's grandmother also lived. The building, built in 1966, was the first in the U.S. to use computerization for structural calculations, but the facade and glass wall panels are 46 years old and no longer meet current building standards. Grand. Moving here did not bring peace to their marriage. The arguments continued to increase when Joshua frequently went out at night, left Amber home alone, and took the car her mother lent him to use in emergencies. Amber sent many text messages begging Joshua to return home and fulfill his family responsibilities, but he continuously refused. At this point, Amber and Joshua's family and friends took sides, blaming each other amid accusations and gossip. They often receive advice to separate for their own good. By early June 2011, when Amber was 7 months pregnant, the couple seriously considered divorce, making the family environment increasingly tense. The situation got worse when one of them threw the TV through the bedroom window, breaking the glass. When they informed the building manager about this, they had to compensate for the damages. On Tuesday, June 7, 2011, while the divorce papers lay on the table, Joshua decided to skip Amber's father's wedding that weekend and instead go with friends to a music festival in Tennessee. According to Amber, Joshua planned to use and sell drugs at this event. Amber was deeply agitated by Joshua's absence from a significant event, and her frustration boiled over. After a particularly heated argument, she decided to pack up some laundry to take to her grandmother's house, as their apartment lacked a washer and dryer. In a fit of anger, she began yanking Joshua's dirty clothes from the laundry basket, her actions driven by a mix of irritation and desperation. The atmosphere grew even more charged when the window repair specialist arrived and knocked on their door. The specialist's quote of $150 for the repair only fueled their argument further. Joshua, initially contemplating tackling the window repair himself, reluctantly conceded that hiring a professional was the better option given the circumstances. Once the packing was completed, Joshua reached out to his father, hoping he could come to pick him up. However, his father regrettably informed him that it would be impossible to assist. With no other immediate options, Joshua turned to his friends for help. Brandon, one of his friends, agreed to come to his aid but was unaware of the urgency of the situation. On the afternoon of Tuesday, June 7, 2011, the tension between Joshua and Amber reached a boiling point. They were engaged in a heated argument in their living room when the situation suddenly escalated into chaos. In a moment of uncontrollable rage or distress, 23-year-old Joshua stumbled backward and crashed into a window, shattering the glass. Amber watched in a state of sheer horror as her husband, losing his balance, plummeted from their apartment on the 25th floor. Inside the apartment, a window repair specialist who had been working in the bedroom heard the deafening crash and rushed into the living room. The specialist, having overheard part of their argument, was struck by the chilling realization that Joshua's fall might have been deliberate. As Amber's panic grew, she began frantically crying for help, her voice filled with desperation as she shouted that Joshua had fallen and needed assistance. Overcome with fear, she fled the apartment. Outside, Robert, a resident who had been smoking near the building, witnessed the harrowing scene unfold. He saw Joshua fall from the great height, his body hitting the parking garage roof on the 8th floor. The impact was devastating, with Joshua's head striking the railing and causing him to fall for nearly 3 seconds before hitting the ground below. The force of the fall resulted in instant death, leaving a profound and tragic mark on everyone who witnessed or heard of the events. As the crisis unfolded, Robert sprinted into the apartment complex, urgently seeking help. Meanwhile, the building manager frantically attempted to reach Armando, the window repairman, to inform him of the escalating situation. Inside the apartment, Amber, her anxiety mounting, repeatedly pressed the elevator button, desperately hoping to descend and locate Joshua. When the elevator doors opened and she found no sign of him, she cast a fearful glance towards the parking garage on the 8th floor. The horrific realization struck her. She understood the gravity of what had transpired. In a state of near panic, Amber dashed back to the elevator, now accompanied by the building manager. The manager, recognizing the severity of the situation, tried to calm her down advising her to remain composed in an effort to prevent further chaos. As she approached Joshua's body, Amber realized the severity of the situation. Paramedics, firefighters, and authorities arrived at the scene. While surrounding neighbors panicked, Amber kept begging them to save her husband, but they couldn't do anything. She insisted that she had no intention of letting this happen. Although one of the firefighters heard Amber's call for help, she never intended for things to escalate to such a serious level. The police took Amber to the Tulsa police station to question and learn about what happened that day. Amber asked to wait for her aunt before leaving. At this time, authorities were still unclear about what really happened in their apartment, and Amber had no idea that her life was about to change completely. At the station, the police put Amber and her grandmother in a private room where they were told to stay calm. They did not know that the room was equipped with recording equipment, and every word they said was recorded. An officer also watched them in real time. In shock, Amber tearfully told her grandmother about the argument with Joshua. She said that while arguing in the living room, she went into the bedroom, and while returning, she pushed Joshua against the wall in response to his insults. Joshua stumbled, tried to catch himself, but ended up falling through the window. Amber also confided to her that Joshua's parents were right to fear that if they stayed together, she would eventually cause his death. She constantly lamented the tragic death she caused. Her grandmother understood that her in-laws would relentlessly pursue Amber, so she encouraged her to be strong, especially for the sake of her unborn child. Even though Amber tried to stay silent on her grandmother's advice and had no legal representation, police arrested her as a suspect the next day. After asking a lawyer for bail, her mother paid the bail and Amber was released as the investigation continued. Joshua's memorial service took place on Saturday morning, June 11, 2011. In lieu of flowers, the family requests that everyone make memorial contributions for Joshua. From that point on, both families accused the other spouse of violence. Amber claimed she was only defending herself against an abusive husband, but her words were quickly overwhelmed by a public campaign by Joshua's relatives and friends. The media sided with Hilberling, portraying Amber as a mentally unstable criminal, while Joshua was portrayed as a gentleman driven to madness by her actions. Websites appeared calling for Amber's trial, and many strangers harassed her family. On August 6, 2011, while awaiting the complicated and controversial trial, Amber gave birth to a baby boy, described by friends as the perfect union between her and Joshua. Amber's parents and attorneys rejected 2 plea deals offered by the district attorney's office. One deal was for 5 years in prison plus 15 years of probation, while the other was for 7 years in prison with 13 years suspended. Amber later stated to a major media outlet that she did not regret her decision, as she believed in her innocence and was willing to take any risks to prove it. This decision led to her trial for second-degree murder. When Amber began attending court sessions in her perfectly fitted coat, she knew her life had changed forever. Wearing makeup and messy blonde hair, Amber became the object of public and press criticism, reinforcing stereotypes about her. Amidst the turmoil surrounding the case, Amber dedicated every available moment to being with her young son, seeking solace and stability within the confines of her family. In an effort to navigate the chaos and distance herself from the legal and public scrutiny, she shifted her focus to managing family finances. This shift was partly a strategic attempt to maintain a semblance of normalcy and avoid the intense scrutiny from those critical of her actions. Meanwhile, a website dedicated to defending Amber's innocence emerged, created by supporters who firmly believed in her story. This site delved into Joshua's history of domestic violence, attempting to cast a different light on the circumstances. The site controversially published excerpts from messages on Amber's phone, purportedly revealing a conversation she had with Joshua the day before his tragic death. These revelations were used to bolster their claims and sway public opinion in Amber's favor. On September 19, 2012, Amber filed a lawsuit against University Club Tower, claiming that Joshua's death was caused by the apartment complex's negligence. Lawsuit documents claim the window did not meet Tulsa building standards, leading to Joshua's fatal fall. 6 months later, Amber's trial began. In her testimony, she told the jury that when she entered the living room, Joshua rushed out the window and grabbed her shoulder, fearing that she would push him against the wall between the chandelier and the TV. To clarify the case, Amber drew a diagram of the incident and was allowed to stand on the witness stand to demonstrate her testimony. The deputy district attorney began questioning her, emphasizing that it was not necessary to prove that Amber intended to kill her husband, but only to prove that her actions were extremely dangerous. She also believes that the incident reflects a depraved mindset. The video of Amber talking to her grandmother at the police station, where she admitted part of her fault, became important evidence for the prosecution. Prosecutors also called witnesses who heard the sounds of a struggle in the apartment, along with heavy footsteps toward the window. They argued that Amber, despite being pregnant, attacked her husband and pushed him through the window. Armando, who witnessed the incident, testified about what he heard. Another witness, a firefighter, recalled that Amber repeatedly insisted she did not mean to push her husband out. The defense brought in a glass expert who explained that the windows were made of glass that was not durable enough. He suggested that if the window had been made of safety glass, Joshua might not have fallen through it. He emphasized that tempered glass is 4 times more wind-resistant and twice as resistant. In his opinion, a combination of ordinary glass, poor building condition, and wind pressure led to the incident. Despite the defense's strenuous efforts to sway the jury, their deliberations were brief, concluding in just 3 hours with a verdict of guilty for Amber on the charge of second-degree murder. On March 18, 2013, the judge handed down the sentence. Amber was to serve 25 years in prison. Additionally, she was fined $10,000 and ordered, in accordance with Oklahoma law, to reimburse Joshua's family for over $6,000 in funeral zurigs. The decision marked a definitive end to the legal proceedings, imposing a significant financial and personal burden on Amber as she faced the consequences of the court's judgment. After a year, the judge can suspend part or all of the sentence, allowing Amber the opportunity to be released from prison early. Otherwise, she will have to serve at least 85% of her sentence, or 21 years, before being eligible for parole. Amber's 6-year-old son was placed in the care of his grandmother Rhonda and her husband, and they regularly visited Amber in prison. A few months after the sentencing, the American Press program interviewed Amber at the correctional center. This program aired in 2016. During the interview, Amber admitted to insulting her husband but asserted that she did not mean it, intended to harm you. Amber's innocence became a controversial topic in interviews with family members, police officers, and many experts, attracting public interest in the case and the court's verdict. The controversy surrounding the story not only did not subside but became more explosive when the state's Supreme Court questioned the tactics used to prosecute Amber. Rhonda, Amber's mother, blamed the community's prejudices about her daughter on rumors about Amber's misconduct. Misbehavior while in custody has brought Amber back into the headlines. The lawsuit against University Club Tower was dismissed in March 2015. Amber died in prison on October 24, 2016, at just 26 years old. The coroner's report noted scars on her wrists and forearms along with methamphetamine in her blood. According to the investigation, Amber took her own life, but her parents believe their daughter was killed by someone else. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections was sued for failing to take reasonable steps to prevent the conditions that led to Amber's desperate decision to stay in custody. The lawsuit filed in Oklahoma County District Court seeks $75,000 in damages. A spokesman for the prison system said the agency does not comment on pending litigation, and the outcome of the case has not yet been disclosed. Amber's mother, Rhonda, commented that despite the tragic outcome no one wanted, her daughter eventually found peace. She also vowed to ensure her grandson has a fulfilling life. Amber's case highlights the serious problem of domestic violence in the United States. as many people reported her injuries to authorities but were still unable to end the toxic relationship, leading to a tragic end. Carpet. Thank you for watching True Crime. If you're intrigued by mysteries from around the world, check out our new Latin crime channel where we dive into the gripping true crime stories of Latin America. Don't miss out. Register now to follow more thrilling investigations.